What's up, guys? Back at it, riding with Alex. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, man. If you guys watch this and you know, it brings some sort of enjoyment to you, that's all I care about. You don't even have to like, you don't have to subscribe. I really don't care. I'm doing what I like to do after a hard day of work, coming home, you know. I gotta stop saying you know so much, but yeah, just coming home, getting on the bike, throwing on the GoPro, and just riding around, man. This makes me feel so good. That's a fast minivan right there, good lord. But yeah, no, I just like doing this. I know my first video really didn't have much to say. It was more of just me kind of figuring out the GoPro, figuring out the mic. I'm pretty sure I got that down. So today I wanted to come out and kind of, I don't know, make a video, you know, a little bit more about me, so you guys know kind of my past a little bit. Plus, this is also a funny video. It wasn't at the time. I'm gonna tell you about an experience that happened between me and my dad a long time ago, and at the time it was not cool. It was pretty terrifying. But now that we're, you know, we're both way older and we're safe, we're good, we're not dead. I figured this would be a really good first kind of story about my life, or at least a part of my life. So yeah, so my dad, he, you know, thank you for his service, by the way. My dad's, you know, he served 23 years or 22 and a half years in the military, Army. And so what that meant for me, you know, growing up as a kid, is I moved around a lot. I've lived in a lot of cool places and a lot of shitty places. But today we're going to talk about one place in particular, and that is Washington State. And to be more specific, it was Steilacoom, or Steilacompton, right? Just right outside of Tacoma. You got Washington State. We're right there on the ocean, the west side of Washington, and they have a Puget Sound there, right by Steilacoom, or the Puget Sound basically is Steilacoom, Washington, right? And what's really, really cool about this place is it's a place I've never seen before. It was really, really, really cool. It was a really cool experience to move to a place like that, especially because, you know, my dad was mostly, you know, in you know, the southern parts of the U.S., right? Like Fort Hood, a lot of years in Georgia, Fort Benning, Georgia. I know it's not Fort Benning anymore. It's something else. I don't know the real name for it now, but it used to be Fort Benning, Georgia. A lot of Fort Hood, you know, Barstow. I was born in Colorado Springs, and I don't even know what Colorado Springs looks like. So yeah, I moved around a lot, but mostly grew up in the southeastern side of the U.S. But, you know, my dad, he got, you know, transferred, or whatever you want to call it, to Washington State. And man, that was crazy. So crazy for somebody like me that was predominantly growing up in the South. So we moved out there, and it was just, I mean, it was crazy. It was so different. It was nothing like Georgia or Texas. But the coolest part about it was, and I'll bring it back up, is the Puget Sound. You know, we live right kind of on the ocean there, and there was, I mean, there was so much to do, right? I mean, it was a culture shock for me. I was only like 13 or 14 at this time. And so, yeah, let's just get to the point, because I'm blabbering. All right, so to the story. The funny part of the story is, you know, again, my dad and I grew up in the South. We weren't used to things like the ocean or water, and in particular, kayaking. Neither one of us has ever kayaked, right? We grew up riding dirt bikes, mud bogging, shooting, you know, southern stuff. So we move out to Washington State. We're on the Puget Sound, and you know, my dad and I, you know, we're at Costco, right, or Sam's Club. I can't really remember which one. We were at one of the clubs, and they had a deal on 2 kayaks, and I believe it was like buy one get one half off. And my dad and I, we're both very adventurous people, and we were like, dude, we got to do it, man. We're right on the ocean, right? Let's buy these little Pelican kayaks. And we didn't know anything about it, nothing about kayaking, but we were determined to buy some kayaks and kayak into the ocean, right? And so, you know, my dad, he bought them, and we did it. And it was real fun at first. You know, we would take the kayaks down to, you know, to the beach or to the ocean, and we wouldn't go too far, right? At first we were kind of iffy about it, and you know, and these kayaks were only weighted for like 250 pounds at the most before you sat in it, right? Like if you were like 280 or 290 pounds, you're gonna sit in that kayak, it's gonna sink. It's just gonna sink. I mean, you have no chance. But again, we don't know. We don't care. We just think it's kayak. It's gonna float. Let's do it. So, you know, over the span of maybe like a week or two, probably should have been way longer than that. You know, I don't think you can consider yourself an experienced kayaker after about a week or two. But we did do like a week or two of kayaking. And I'm just gonna cut through this parking lot. Actually, I don't feel like sitting at a red light. I hate red lights. Cut through here. I don't even know what's back here. So yeah. So after like a week or two, I mean, just to give the, you know, the story some credit, let's just say a month. Over the span of the month, we kayaked, you know, a few times in the ocean, and we stayed close to the docks, and we really didn't, you know, go too far. But this was also summertime, right? The water was clear, it was flat, there was no dangers, there was no waves, it was just beautiful. I mean, there was several times where even like otters would come out and, you know, like, I don't know, flirt with us, whatever otters do. But, you know, they made themselves known, and we thought that was so cool, right? So here we are, Washington State. I'm having trouble with first gear, by the way. Somebody help me out with that. Yeah, so over the summer, you know, we kind of kayaked here and there, day or two throughout the week when we had time. But here comes the winter time, and this is our first winter up there in Washington State. You know, we don't know how it is. Back then, there really wasn't Google either. Like, it's not like you can just YouTube this stuff and research it, but whatever. Winter was approaching. We knew kayak season was kind of coming to an end, and we enjoyed it so much. And one thing we never do with our kayaks is we never, you know, like, explored. We never went further than, you know, the docks, right? And, I don't know if anybody's really familiar with Washington State. If you're watching this, I don't know, you probably aren't. But the Puget Sound, there's an island out there, just you know, off the west of Michigan State. There's an island, and it's called Keytron Island. And the only thing we really knew about this island was there was like a small neighborhood where all the rich people lived, and they would take a ferry to and from this island to work every day, or even to school every day. I was in middle school, and I went to middle school with kids that would take a ferry to school every day, and I thought that was crazy. To me, that was nuts, because I'm coming from Georgia, Fort Benning, Georgia. You know, dirt bikes and mud bogging and just Georgia stuff. There is no ferries in Georgia. Never seen one. And I moved to Washington State, I go to school, and then I find out that these students are taking a ferry to school. I'm like, what? Right? And also on that island, I guess, is like the jail. There's a jail on Keytron Island. So it's known for its fancy neighborhood, and then it's also known for sharing an island with a jail or a prison. I don't know, it may have been county jail, probably not, but it was probably prison. But Keytron Island had a jail on it, and that was basically it. And that was, you know, on the west side of the island, and Washington is on the east side of the island. So all you really can see from the Puget Sound, the docking, where we were used to kayaking is just forest, woods. So my dad and I were like, okay, well, you know, summer's coming to an end. We're not gonna be able to kayak much longer. Let's go camp. Let's camp, man. Let's go to the store and load up these shitty kayaks that probably shouldn't be in the ocean to begin with. You know, buy one, get one free from Sam's Club, 250-pound weight limit. Let's load these things up and kayak like 4 miles, 5 miles out to Keytron Island and find like a deserted area, and let's just camp out, man. Father and son, let's do it, right? So the weekend comes, Friday comes, right? We go to the store. We've never been camping before. Me and my dad never camped, but you know, like I said, we're adventurous. So we go to the store and like we don't research anything. We're like, okay, what do people camp with, without researching what people actually camp with. So we go to the store and we're like, oh, a whole chicken. Gotta bring a whole chicken. But can't just bring one whole chicken, so we buy 2 whole chickens, 2 whole raw chickens. We buy fishing gear, thinking that we're magically gonna catch fish, and we'll cook that. A box of matches, and then my dad bought like a waterproof container to throw like our cell phones in and our wallet in, right? And then, you know, my dad's in the military, so, you know, we bought some MREs. But long story short, we loaded up these kayaks, and like at the time, you know, my dad's a huge freaking dude. You know, my dad was well over 250 pounds before we packed up all of that camping gear. I can't turn left here. So we were already pushing the kayaks to their limits, and then we were like, you know, let's just load up all this camping gear, go out there and go fish. So we do all this work. We get the kayaks to, like, you know, the little docking area, and it's by some railroad tracks, right? You cross over railroad tracks, and then boom, it's just the ocean. And you know, our thoughts were, you know, leave the minivan here, no one's gonna steal it or do nothing, and we'll just shoot for Keytron Island. Well, at this point in time, summer was already over. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cold, and there was like a shit ton of waves. I mean, not little waves, these were like really big waves. You got the Puget Sound, so there's a huge current between Washington State and Keytron Island. But we already, you know, we were focused. We were determined. We're going to get to Keytron Island, father and son. We are going to have this camping trip. So my dad comes up with this plan. He's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to launch off with all this shit on our kayaks. And he was thinking, as long as we just ride into the waves won't flip us. What up, dude? So yeah, we'll just ride into the waves. We'll paddle real hard into the waves. And then once we reach a certain point, we'll ride the waves back to Keytron Island, right? So, you know, 2 miles, let's just say 2 miles, we're gonna ride the waves that are coming in our direction and just hit them head on. And as long as the waves aren't coming this way and we're diving into them, we won't flip, right? And I'm like, you know what, Dad, that's a great plan. 14-year-old, 13-year-old Alex is like, dude, perfect plan. I trust you. And I did just that, right? So I took the lead and I'm riding the waves out, and I don't know, maybe 30 minutes in, I turn around to see my dad get hit by a wave, and my dad I just see the paddles go like this, and everything important, everything to call for help, all the food, the fishing gear, and then also, you know, my father as well, flips over, and that wave just takes him, man. So all I know at this point is like, okay, at 13 or 14, I know I cannot turn around and save him, because I'm gonna flip over too, right? So I continue to ride the waves. I hit a point where the waves are starting to go to Keytron Island, and I just ride the waves into the island, right? And I make it there. I'm safe. I'm a little cold, but I make it to the island, right? And once I'm at the island, I get off the kayak and I turn around, and I do my best to kind of see where my dad's out, you know, out in the water, see if he's even still alive. Like, I'm freaking out, man. I don't know what's going on. All I know is my dad is no longer floating. So, yeah, anywho, I make it to the island, right? And I'm like, okay, all right, you know, time to be a man, right? Time to be a man. I'm gonna go out there and you know, I'm gonna my thoughts were, I have to save my dad regardless, right? So I get to the island, I pull my kayak in, and I unload all my gear, right? My chickens and my fishing gear and my backpack, and I just make the kayak as light as possible. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna head out that way and I'm gonna go save my dad. And I did just that, guys. I rode the waves out from Keytron and then rode the waves in that were going back towards where my dad was. And at this point in time, he is stuck in that Puget Sound current, right? It's just taking him away. He is hopeless. But somehow I do make it out to him, and I toss him a rope, and I'm like, Dad, grab this rope, man. I'm gonna my 14-year-old self, you know, thinking I'm invincible, I'm like, I'm gonna paddle us back. Now keep in mind, right, my dad is holding on to the kayak. The kayak had like a little T-handle on the end of it, and it's sinking into the ocean, right? It's sinking into the current, and everything that we own is strapped to that kayak, and it's just pulling him away. It's freezing cold. The water is probably 20, 30 degrees because, you know, it wasn't really summer anymore. We kind of waited a little too long for this camping trip. So he's just being dragged along, and he's refusing to let go of this kayak and everything that we own. So he's got one hand on the kayak, one hand on the rope that I threw him, and then I'm just a kid, right, trying to kayak back through the waves, and I'm trying to tow him back to Keytron Island. And y'all, I probably was paddling as hard as I could for easily 15, 20, who knows, 30 minutes. And I don't think we moved a freaking inch. I think I just kind of kept us still in the current, right? And this is where, I don't know, it's getting dark, guys. I work late. If I'm going to make videos, it's got to be right now. I'll make one on the weekend where it's daylight, probably a little more entertaining for you guys. But anyway, so yeah, I'm pedaling as hard as I can, and I'm just like, hold on, Dad, hold on, Daddy, I'm gonna save you. And after, you know, like I said, 15, 20, who knows, 30 minutes, there is no telling time. We are just full adrenaline, freaking out. My dad's drowning. He won't let go of the kayak. So after my dad can tell that we're kind of not really moving anywhere, we're making zero progress, you know, a dad being a dad, he was like, Alex, just I'm gonna let go of this rope. Save yourself. Save yourself, dude. Get out of here. Go back to the island. Start a fire. Save yourself. I'm thinking my dad's gonna freaking drown in this freezing weather, right? And I'm like, no, Dad, don't let go. Please don't let go. I got you. I got you. Well, he lets go, right? He lets go. As any dad would. He's not gonna, you know, he's not gonna go down with his 13 or 14-year-old, right? He's gonna make the ultimate sacrifice at this point. So my dad lets go, and then boom, I'm paddling away, right? So for the second time, I paddle in the waves, right? Kind of wait for a point where the waves start going towards that island and away from Washington, and I'll ride the waves all the way back to the, you know, Keytron Island campsite that we were kind of shooting for. And I pull my kayak in, and I get to shore, and I'm just watching my dad helplessly just kind of float away into the ocean with just like his chin up, right? He's got his chin above water. He's not giving up. And I'm freaking out. And then boom, guys, boom, Savior comes. I look way out into the distance, right? And I see like a crab boat, like a crab fisherman boat. And I see him sort of just like coming into the Puget Sound, and I'm like, oh my God, yes. So I have this big orange paddle, super reflective paddle, and I'm on Keytron Island like waving like, help, help. And there's no way this guy saw me or heard me. He probably saw my dad out where he was before he saw me kind of waving for help. But long story short, just because I do need to turn around, it's getting dark. This is not entertaining for you guys to see a guy riding around in the dark. But yeah, no, this crab fisherman sees my dad kind of bobbing through the Puget Sound and just hauls ass towards him. And on the back of this guy's boat, he has like a Dundee, right? I think that's what they're called, Dundies or Dungies. He has like this inflatable boat with like a small trolling motor, and he just like throws an anchor down, launches that small boat, you know, just as fast as he can, goes towards my dad, and he throws my dad a rope, right? And my dad grabs that rope, and again, my dad's still holding on to the sinking kayak with like 100 pounds of camping gear attached, and it's just like sinking. He won't let go of it, or who knows, maybe at this point his hand's just frozen to it. So this crab fisherman throws him a rope, and he's like, "Hey man, are you good? You got a good grip?" But dad's like, "Yeah, go for it." And then just like full throttle, this guy just like, you know, my dad's got kayak here, rope here, and just yanks my dad and just full throttles it to Keytron Island, where I guess he did see me waving the paddle. And he like rips my dad up to shore, and the crab fisherman guy or whatever was like telling us, really trying to tell us, like, guys, you should not camp here anymore. Like, you know, he was like, "Son, your dad is like hyperthermic, he's shaking, like you guys got to get to a hospital." But me and my dad were both like, "Nah, fuck that, man. We said we were gonna go camping tonight, we're gonna camp." We're still trying to camp out. I mean, we were just, yeah, we're stubborn. I'm not gonna lie, we're both stubborn. So we tell this crab fisherman rescuer guy, we're like, "No, dude, fuck that, we're not going to a hospital. You know, we said we were gonna camp out tonight. This is just a little bit of a detour, right? This is just a bump in the road, okay? We're still gonna camp out. All we need is a fire. We still have our chickens, and we still have our fishing poles. And yeah, if we get a fire going, then we're just gonna survive, man. We're gonna rough it out, father and son." So this crab fisherman digs us a hole, puts some leaves in it, some sticks, and he starts us the fire. And I'm not gonna lie, this guy starts us like a pretty good fire. And after he started the fire, he was like, you know, "Are you guys sure?" And we're like, "Yeah, no, we're sure. We're gonna camp out. Nothing's stopping us." Plus our mom was pretty upset with us at this point in time, so we were like, "We can't go back home. We can't go back home. Mom's mad, so we have to camp out and then act like nothing happened." So he gets us a fire going, my dad gets warmed up, you know, and then we're like, "Okay, we're good. We got a big fire going. The sun's going down. The water's flattening out, right? The water turns into like this glass, like super clear glass water. And you know, we're starting to feel a little bit better. Fire's going, right? And we're like, okay, we have chickens. Guys, we don't know how to camp. We brought chickens. That was it. We had no, okay, this guy's just gonna pull right out right here. That's cool, man. I know it's getting dark, but dude, come on, bro. Anyway, so we have these chickens and a fire, and that's it. We have no grates, we have no spigots, we have no sticks, nothing to cook the chickens on. So yeah, we kind of just gave up on that. We hung out. Long story short, about like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. rolled around, right? And we were both like, you know what? I don't think camping is for us. We both admitted, as stubborn as we are, 2 a.m. hit. We were not having fun. We went through ultimate chaos. The adrenaline kind of started wearing off, and we were like, look, we are not campers. We are not built for this. This sucks. We just wanted our beds. So I'm going to rewind, and like I said, we parked the van by railroad tracks, and it was by a railroad track crossing, and this train went by every hour. So every hour we saw, like, you know, the ding 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 ding, the railroad crossing kind of come down. We saw flashing lights. We sort of heard the train, but not really, but we could see like the flashing lights and the, you know, the ding 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 things go down. And so we came up with a master plan. We were like, dude, it's 2 in the morning. We just need to go home. And might as well go home while the water is nice and flat, right? This pitch black glass, basically, is what this water was. So we came up with a plan. We took all of our camping gear, everything that we spent money on to go camping, we threw it into this fire. We wanted this fire to be as large and as viewable as possible, because our plan was to slowly kayak across the fucking ocean, across the Puget Sound, and, you know, just kind of wait until we saw the railroad crossing lights go down, and then just kind of head that direction. And if we got lost, we knew that there was a ginormous fire behind us that we could just go back to. You know, if something didn't feel right or we got lost, at least we had this giant fire going, so we could at least get back there. And that's what we did, guys. We threw everything in the fire. I mean, backpacks, shirt, everything but the kayak and our paddles we threw in this fire, so we had at least a, you know, like a waypoint if we got lost. And then we got in our kayaks, we set them in the water, kind of sitting on the shore, and we waited, guys. And as soon as we saw like the ding 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 lights, boom, we started paddling. I mean, as hard as we could, we were paddling against, you know, or towards, you know, the railroad crossing. And yeah, that was it. I mean, it was pitch black ocean water, super scary. And then, well, you know, once the lights went away, we kind of just like slowed down and just try to keep our kayaks, you know, from what we can tell, it's facing towards those crossings. It was pitch black. We couldn't see shit. And then we would wait, you know, 45 minutes or an hour go by, and we would see it, ding, 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 but it'd be like way over there. Like we definitely like drifted away. Oh, you know, oh, ding, 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 railroad crossing, and we would just paddle. And we would just keep doing that until we ended up back in Washington, guys. That was insane. So we did make it back. We made it back to our van, just waiting for the railroad crossings to go down. And then we made it back. We strapped the kayaks to the minivan, and the first thing we did was went straight to the local 24-hour Taco Bell. Y'all, we were freaking starving. Adrenaline wore off. We never ate. We couldn't figure out how to cook the chickens, which of course not, right? And we went straight to the local Taco Bell. It's like 3 a.m. at this point, and we got like 16 or 18 crunchy tacos. And we went home and we bust through that door. Now it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and my mom was awake. Like, she just knew. We came through that door just slamming, eating tacos. We're super loud. We're super frustrated. And at this point in time, like, it just really didn't seem like something to even laugh at. It was pretty freaking traumatic. Yeah, it was not good. But now that, guys, this was like probably 18 years ago, you know, and now it is just something that we can absolutely laugh at. That is so funny. To me, to my dad, we both just kind of appreciate that. It was, God, that was a heck of an experience. And I haven't really told a lot of people that story. You know, I'm saying, you know, so much, but I've moved around so much since then. It's not a story that most people can relate to. It is a long story. It's not something that you can kind of sum up, right? You got to get into detail with the story because so much went into it. And I don't feel like I even told it that well, being that I didn't really have that much time tonight. So that's about as summed up as it gets. But guys, believe me, at that age, that was so traumatic, but it is so funny to tell nowadays. Believe it or not, we don't kayak anymore. That was it. We pretty much wrapped up our kayaking experience with that. We don't camp. We're not campers, guys. We like going home and being in bed. Who doesn't? But to think that, you know, you can be that inexperienced and just go out and do something like that, Believe me firsthand, you guys, you just can't. If you're gonna do something like that, go with someone who knows what they're doing, not two idiots like, you know, my father and I at that point in time. Don't be too stubborn, right? Live from your mistakes. Research. There's nothing wrong with research. As big and bad as you think you are, man, kayak, go to the Puget Sound with some lake kayaks and you know, test the waters. go do what I just did, and you know, it'll humble you. It really will. So yeah, if you're gonna do something and just like riding a motorcycle, right? You think you might be really good at it, but at some point in time, right, the world will test you, and it'll humble you, and it's okay. That's fine, right? You grow, you learn, and that experience, I think, is really important for me. And I'm glad that we can laugh about it now. I really am, guys. It's a beautiful night. I really appreciate you guys watching this, if you stayed around and watched it. If not, I totally get it, right? I'm still learning. But it's Ride with Alex 22, because I like that number. Why not? 22 is a good number, man. Hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys enjoyed that story that I told. It's something that I've always wanted to tell, and I now there's a way for me to tell it that it's gonna reach a lot of people. So yeah. Thanks again, guys. Ride with Alex 22. I'll be back. I just gotta find a day where I can ride, hopefully where it's clear outside. Thank you so much, really, thank you. I hope this turns out to be a wonderful opportunity for me, my family, and even for you guys. Take care, be safe, and thanks again.